Let me first start off with a warning. This is not your typical self-introduction speech. Most people, whenever they are given a self-introduction speech, start off by talking about all the qualities that make them who they are. Mine, I'm going to pick three words that sort of shed light on who I am as a person. That being family, adventure, and singing. Now, the first one may seem a little bit odd, but let me explain. I am one of five children in my family. This means that my upbringing was full of chaos, loud noises, and broken things. And not only that, but I had three brothers, meaning only one other girl to help in family wrestling sessions that usually ended with me pinned on the ground and my sister hidden quietly in another room reading a book. She wasn't really into the rough play. She was more into the finer things in life, such as reading, tea time, and sleepovers. Let me explain the order of command. Bethany is the oldest, aka the second mom. Then there's Jeremy, the oldest son, also known as the dictator of the situation. Jonathan was the middle child, and he did his job well. He was the instigator, behind the scenes in every situation, and it's definitely the source of all the blame, but the last one to face the responsibility. Then there's me, simply another girl lost in the rumble, full of sass and plenty of bossy to hold my own. And last but certainly not least is Josiah. He's the youngest of all of us. Always ready to take on the sometimes unnecessary blame and do whatever job got passed down his way. But he always had some hilarious remarks to throw in that kept the family listening. Now you're probably wondering why I start off a self-introduction speech talking about my family. And it's simple really. My family is the reason I am who I am. Through all the victories and trials and failures of the past, they've always been there for me. And they've taught me a lot of lessons about life, specifically how to love, choosing to love, love beyond obligations, love beyond family, love beyond the struggle. Love is definitely a choice, and that's a very valuable lesson, which has come in handy over time. But not only that, they also taught me that fear is nothing but an obstacle. It's an element in every situation, but it's not something you have to be afraid of. Now this is the lesson I'm still learning. Some things just take a little bit more courage than you would expect. But you don't have to be afraid of a little adventure, right? And yes, this brings me to my next point, adventure. I could tell countless stories of all the adventures that I've been on with my family. But I only have a certain amount of time, so I'm just going to hit the highlights. At the ripe age of 6, my family started taking vacations to a deep water mountainous lake in Missouri. The water was deep, clear blue, and we loved spending countless hours boating, skiing, and tubing. Eventually, though, these things got kind of boring. We felt like we mastered the task, so we were ready for the next one. Looking at all the beautiful scenery, we decided we would try to jump some cliffs. How hard could it be? After a long day, we finally found a few that looked just right. We started for the cliffs, and as soon as we got close enough, my dad gave the okay, and off went my brothers, flying into the water. But I hesitated. I wasn't quite ready to take the plunge into the water towards the huge cliff. My dad looked at me and asked me, "Brianna, why didn't you go out and jump with your brothers?" I just watched them as they climbed and jumped without fear. While watching them, my dad answered me again, "Brianna, fear is a choice, so choose to have some fun." Barely able to move, I decided to jump into the water and try it out. Swimming towards the edge of the cliff, I was too small to climb. My brothers had to help me up most of the way. Once I finally arrived at the top, I knew as soon as I looked over the edge, this is going to take a little bit of courage. With the wind blowing through my little wet ponytail and my stomach jumped into my throat, I ran for the edge. Sailing over the edge, falling through the air, I finally fell into the water. That short thrill was awesome. It's safe to say that I've enjoyed a little thrill since then. I haven't jumping cliffs ever since. Only these cliffs have only gotten bigger and have a lot more fun. That day was the first time that I conquered my fear, but needless to say, it was not the last. In my experience, fear is an element in everything that means the most to us. Whether you're starting a family, buying a house, moving, going to college, there's always a little bit of element of fear. Luckily, my fear is stage fright. I knew from a young age that I loved to sing. I sang all the time, everywhere, without fear. But as soon as somebody asked me to sing for a talent show, I couldn't breathe. The thought of standing up in front of a bunch of people waiting to watch you do something astonishing terrified me. But I knew that I had to conquer this fear. I love to sing, so I had to do it. I was determined. With the weeks leading up to it, I decided that I was going to do it. I started practicing in front of my family, making them sit and listen quietly with their eyes closed, which surprisingly helps a lot. You'd be surprised. Finally, I was able to sing whatever I wanted in front of my family with their eyes open, and I thought I was ready. So I decided. I came out to the talent show with a trembling hand and a little bit of nausea, my mother waiting on the front row with the lyrics. I took the mic. I thought I could do it. I was ready. I was bold. The lights came on, the music started, and I panicked. Could not remember the verse to save my life. The words, couldn't think of them. So I did what I knew best and started humming along with the song. I mean, my worst fear was coming true, so it can only get better from here. Finally, it clicked. I remembered the chorus, and I bolted out the rest of the words as best as I could. As the song finally came to an end, people stood up and they were applauding. I couldn't believe what had just happened. I thought I would never be able to face the public again, but I had an absolute blast. My mistake made me think that I would never be able to sing in public, but I knew that my passion was in music. So I faced my fear, and I'm so glad that I did, all those years ago. Now I'm able to sing in a band, have new adventures every day, and appreciate my family like never before. I'm not saying I'm some fearless person, but I do have my doubts. I will say that I've grown as a person because of them. I'm so thankful for the opportunities this life has thrown my way, and I thank God every day for the blessing that's thrown my life.
16. Wow.
Nice.